Welcome back, players. I'm Ben, an APA Level 6, here with some amateur 8-ball breakdown. I just want to remind everybody and make sure everybody understands that the training ball in the bottom left corner is there for you to have a little bit of a representation of what English I believe is being used on each shot. I'm going to test out this strength meter for this episode. You guys let me know how you feel about it. I'm also wondering how you'd feel about an overhead view similar to this. It's going to be a little bit of a pain to get it drawn up, but I think I can do it for some specific shots. Probably won't display every single ball on the table, but just the ones that I think are important to the shot. Player one gets the break in this game. Looks like he's going with a second ball break, which is where you line the cue ball up just inside of the second diamond and you aim for the second ball. Usually you get a pretty good break with this, but with this one you end up with a little bit of a cluster. Player two is going to take solids by taking this four ball. Pretty easy shot. I think they're going to use a little bit of bottom English and a fairly slow speed. Right here, player two takes a real risky shot because I think they drew that ball back a little more than they wanted to. But there's a five ball inside of that cluster there, and they're going to take it up to the far end to the corner. And it's a pretty good shot considering how much traffic was in there. So player two has a little bit of a domino effect happening here. He on the four ball initially kind of overdrew the ball a little bit, left himself in a tough position, and he ended up getting a good hit on making that five up to the corner. But now he's kind of left, out of position. Just doesn't have anything good going for him. I think the seven ball is pretty much the only shot he feels like he can have a good chance at, and he has to use the bridge to get it hit. Seems like he might have just been going for a legal hit. I also feel like player two, maybe in this position, could have gone after the six, possibly. Looked like it was an open shot for him. But also, this is always a good time to think about a defensive shot. Even if you don't have a good shot that you feel like you can make, you can put yourself in a position to maybe get a ball in hand if you can find a good defense. On this shot, player one's going to take this 14. It looks really simple shot straight in, but I think that part of the issue here is that he catches a little bit of the nipple or the side rail right before he gets into the corner pocket, and that causes it to rattle a little bit and kick back out. I also believe he may have been considering um, trying to hit that 2 and 13 and knocking those two balls free from each other a little bit, getting a little bit of a breakout. Um, but in either situation, you have to focus on making your object ball as a priority, which would be the 14 in the corner, and you don't have to hit this shot with a whole lot of strength. And I think he uses a considerable amount of strength, more than he probably should have. And if you catch that much of the rail or the nipple with the right amount of strength, that ball might still fall. But if you hit it hard, it has no chance of falling. On this shot, player two has to cut this three ball. It's a pretty tough cut. I think they use a little bit of left English to help with the cut angle, and you have to hit this ball real hard. So, then the cue ball ends up running all the way around the table. Right here, player one's supposed to be shooting stripes, and he looks to be aiming at the six. I think he takes the six and is trying to do a bank shot back to the corner, but yeah, that should result in a ball in hand for player two. Now, if I'm player one and I don't mistakenly shoot low balls, I'm probably gonna, more than likely try for that nine in the side if it can get past that one. Pretty tight squeeze, but I think it might have been possible. But I originally thought that player one was going to go between the eight and the six and try to kick the 14 back into the corner. As you can see here, player one just shoots the 6, and it doesn't quite get to the corner pocket, and it should have resulted in ball in hand, like I said. Player two doesn't take the ball in hand. I don't know if he just didn't realize he had it or what the issue was there, or maybe he even thought that he needed to keep it in the kitchen and did take it, but I don't think so. I think that ball's where it ended up. Um, and I think if I'm player two here, I'm looking to figure out, if I had that ball in hand, I'm trying to figure out how to get in for that, maybe the 2 or the 7 or the 6 to kind of get those away from the cluster there, or maybe even get that 3 off the rail, or some kind of way to do, a little bit of a run there, pick off a couple of those out of the pack. Um, but it looks like he goes for that one to the corner, and not really sure, if he was thinking about maybe a scratch or why he missed it, but he was off a little bit. Player one's going to go for the 9 here. Don't know if there's much consideration for if the possibility of a scratch there, um, but seems to be that the ball just barely misses that side pocket anyway, through normal trajectory. Don't think there was much English involved, but um, I think the speed had to be pretty hard too to get it to cut it that sharp in an angle. But he makes a nice shot on the 9 ball. On this shot here, it looks like player one's trying to shoot into that little pack down there, and I think maybe part of the objective was to break some of that stuff up a little bit. Um, if it was me shooting, I think I would have tried to do something with that 10 right there where he's shooting at, uh, and just maybe going for a defense or a little light cut, or maybe even like a bank back towards the general side pocket area to maybe kind of defend that one ball option afterwards, and then kind of leave his opponent to break some of that stuff up. But I think that he was trying to do maybe like a 15, and I think that's the 12 hiding right there behind the 8 combination shot, and that's going to be a real tough shot. And I definitely don't like messing around with the 8 ball like that because you never know where that thing's going. But yeah, this ends up being a tough shot for him because he makes one of his opponent's balls on top of missing his shot, and it doesn't pan out. I don't think quite the way he wanted it to, and it breaks up that cluster, which kind of gives the advantage to your opponent at that point. Player two is going to shoot for this 2 ball in the corner. I thought they'd go for the left corner, but it looks like they go for the right corner. They end up coming up fairly short and hitting the rail, but I don't see why you wouldn't try and shoot this ball to the left corner instead of the right. You'd still have plenty of shape for the next shot, and you'd have a choice between the 1 or the 6, and should be a decent way to get out from there. Maybe they chose to go for that right corner because if they went for the left corner, it may have had a possibility for scratching in the side pocket. This shot here, player one makes a real good shot. He cuts what I believe is the 13 right here into the corner pocket right here. Now, I still think I might have would have done something with that 10 ball down at the other end of the table, just like a couple shots ago. You could possibly, bank it over towards that side pocket, or even go for a cut, and that'll end up getting your cue ball back down to the other end of the table. Should give you a pretty decent shot. On this shot, player one shooting stripes. Looks like he's going to try for this 12 ball in the corner. And as you'll see, he's just off a little bit. I think maybe he was thinking about position or something like that. I think he might have used just a slight bit of top English to run kind of directly into that 1. He might have could have just used a little like top left and just came off of the rail just above the 1 and maybe been able to come back for the 14 or the 10 without too much problem. On this shot, player two shooting the 6 ball, he just kind of hits the rail and makes it ricochet on around the other rail and just completely misses the pocket, and um, kind of lines up player one for a pretty good shot afterwards. On this shot, player one has a nice shot at the 14 and manages to get back over for the 12 ball pretty nicely. Here, player one makes a pretty good effort to get a breakout on the 15 and 11, I believe. A little bit of bottom English, uh, just kind of a medium speed. Medium would probably be like almost like a lag speed. Right here, player one uses kind of a neutral English. I think the issue with this shot is that the three ball was just barely in the way to cause a little bit of disturbance to make player one miss this shot. Right here, I was assuming that player two was trying to shoot this one ball all the way up to the corner, straight up the rail, but it kind of comes in at a weird angle. I don't know if just kind of the way he was shooting up on the rail a little bit or what it was, but the ball really comes in real deep up against like the side rail, um, and just catches the one ball at a weird angle to send it in a trajectory, kind of out towards the middle of the table. And then the cue ball ends up ricocheting and banking back over to scratching the side. After the scratch, player one sets up this nice easy shot for the 15 in the corner, and then he has the 11 to the other corner. And then, I just would have liked to see him plan ahead on how after these couple shots he was going to get back up the table for the 10 ball. So now after that 15 and you had ball in hand to set that shot up real nice and easy, you're stuck shooting over top of this 6 ball, just kind of an awkward position. And, as you can see, the cue ball is just going to follow this 11 in. I think he ends up with a little bit of top English. I think player two was a little indecisive on whether he wanted the 3 or the 6 first, but looks like he ends up picking this 6. And yeah, I don't know. I think that maybe it would have been a good time for a timeout or something, and try to help establish a good way to run this last 4 or 5 balls out. So player two had used a nice stop shot by using just below center mass English, like just a little bit of bottom basically, and I think that kind of came over into this shot too, and he just kind of used a little bit of bottom again, just that little bit of stun shot, and it ends up leaving him in a tough position behind the 8 ball. It's hard to tell from this angle if player two would have been able to hit the 1 or the 2 just shooting straight up the table, but clearly he doesn't think he can, so he's going to try and do a kick shot off of the rail. After that kick shot attempt, player two didn't hit either the 1 or the 2, and he moved the 10 a little bit actually. So player one makes the decision to try and run this 10 ball straight down the table. I think he used kind of more of a middle English, like more of a neutral English, and he probably should have used a little more top, and he probably should have off centered this shot just a little bit instead of trying to shoot it as straight on as he did. With that being said, you can see that player one now has a kind of tough shot. This 8 ball is definitely way more long range than he wanted it to be. It's probably not as straight as he wanted it to be. His cue ball stuck on the rail. And it just adds to the difficulty of the shot where it just doesn't need to be this difficult. Player two is kind of stuck in a tough spot here. He has to figure out a way to shoot this 2-1, and it looks like he just ends up choosing to go for a combination, which is a very difficult shot from that range and those balls gapped as far as they are. So I don't know. Maybe I would have chose to almost go for a defensive shot or something of that nature and leave the cue ball up on that end of the table. Tried to get behind the 1 and 2 somehow. So the cue ball does end up on the far end of the table, luckily, and this is a very hard shot, long range, almost full distance of the table, cut of the 8 ball into the corner pocket. Just this might be a situation where your best interest is to not even go for the shot. It's more to go for again, like try to get some kind of a defensive setup. Now, after that attempt by player one, player two ends up with a pretty decent setup here. They, instead of the cue ball being way on the other end of the table, a couple long range shots, he's got a pretty bang bang, two to the corner, one to the side, and the eight ball is kind of sitting close to the pocket. So this could be the end of the game here. So you got to watch out. Player two gets that two ball in with no problem. Now they're going to try to get this one in the side. I know you didn't get a good angle at that one in the side. Player one decided to stand in front of the camera today, but that's okay. Well, ends up that player two put himself in a little bit of a position to not be able to shoot that eight ball straight up. So he's going to have to try and kick at it, and that adds a lot of difficulty, chances for scratches, and all kind of things of that nature. As you can see, the eight ball's still there, and it didn't move at all. So player two had just missed the eight ball completely. I think he just came in a little wide and caught, like three rails, just went right on past the eight, never even touched it. So player one just has a nice easy ball in hand to finish the game on the eight ball. All right, players, that's it. Game over. Player one wins. Don't forget to give a handshake or a fist bump, show your appreciation for a good match. And please remember to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. Select this image for another video. Select this image to subscribe.